Hey guys, it's the Witnesses Podcast, episode 11, coming to you hot off the press. Guys, stick around. We talk Pittsburgh's matchup. We talk about what happened. We talk about Super Bowl. We talk about the Cavs for a while on this one. Make sure you hit that bell. Thank you for everyone that's subscribing, guys. We love you. And we love Sunday. Sunday was one of the best days ever. Tom, are we in line for a Super Bowl? And if so, is this the biggest Browns win you've ever seen in your entire life?
I mean, Super Bowl, I don't know if I'm ready to jump that gun, but hey, one game at a time. Let's stay 1-0 this week, right? What happened to that mantra?
Freaking literally.
I mean, it was a huge win. It was one of, if not the biggest regular season wins in my life. And it was a very hectic game. I think 9 out of 10 experts had us losing this game. It was a wild ride, to say the least. A lot of crazy things happened in this game, but I think you saw the will that this team has that would make you believe that, this team could go all the way. They could go on a deep playoff run. They could match up against anybody in a Super Bowl.
Stefanski called a great game. I thought he called the game, like we said in the last pod, for PJ Walker. Like, it felt like he was making the same plays he would, and he's just like, please, Deshaun, get better this next play. Like, I know you can pull it together. So that was really, really great to watch.
Yeah, I think he called a great game. I mean, I think you can see it there. We'll talk about this more later, but you can see it there. They dominated the first quarter, and not even really the first quarter, like the first half of the first quarter. And then we dominated the rest of the game. We outscored them second, third, and fourth quarter. Man, we did what we had to do to win after really digging a hole for ourselves. So, Zach, this game was an up and down battle. Like I said, there were so many highlights. There's so many things to mention, like Deshaun having a perfect second half statistically, or there's David Njoku catching a pass and then carrying a safety 15 yards.
Say that.
But that was awesome. But let's hear some of the headlines that people aren't talking about, because there's so many narratives that happen in this game that I think are worth mentioning.
Guys, can we talk about how OBJ was probably going to post the pettiest thing ever after they won? If they beat us, like, y'all tried to let me go. And it'll be like a Rod Wave lyric. Like, we stopped the they were like, this is his first touchdown since 20 years ago. He really thought he had something. And it's because we were all in the secondary just depleted. We had a bad angle running up on him. Yeah, dude, you had a touchdown. And guess what? It doesn't freaking matter. Also, pancake blocks by Cedric Tillman and Wyatt Teller. The first Cedric Tillman one blocks him. Game's still going. Deshaun is still scrambling, and he's just standing over top of him, asserting his dominance. I was kind of like, dude, keep blocking. But like, that says so much. We set the tone. We were going hard. Tom, that was awesome, dude.
Oh, yeah. I think we absolutely out-physicaled them. The Cedric Tillman block was dope. And I will say, it wasn't dirty either. He very easily could have led with his head or tried to hurt him. No, he just perfectly leveled him. And yeah, he stood over him for a second and said, "You're my bitch." There's a bunch of players I want to shout out. We got in the bottom right corner here, we got Mike Ford, who came in for Denzel Ward. Now, Denzel Ward, he got taken out of the game. I think he's got some sort of neck injury currently, and it's because the left tackle for the Ravens, Ronnie Stanley, was sick of getting his ass tossed around all game, that he had to go hit somebody. And he helmet to helmet late hit also on Denzel Ward, which took him out of the game. So that's the Ravens for you. No surprises there. But Mike Ford, typically a special teams ace, comes in, fills in for him. He's doing the classic Josh Cribbs, wear your socks on your forearms, which is a badass thing that if the true Browns fans know what I'm talking about.
Of course.
But Mike Ford, first off, has a huge hit on Lamar, and the Ravens were trying to say it was dirty. No, even the announcers were on the right side with this one. They were like, Lamar lowered his shoulder, and he's a running back when he's that far out. Lowered his shoulder, and Mike Ford leveled him. Legs go flying in the air. Beautiful. Next play, he picks him off. Absolutely incredible. I mean, there's so many things. I almost want to just like rifle them off of all the different. Okay. Jordan Elliott blocks a field goal, changes the outlook of the game. Greg Newsome, first interception of his career, pick six, changes the game. I almost said DeAndre Hopkins, which is so funny. It's the real D-Hop. It's the real D-Hop. Dustin Hopkins.
Mm-hmm.
He misses an extra point, and everybody is thinking in the deepest, darkest corner of their mind, this is how we f this up. But no, he comes back and he hits the game winner. He was 4 for 4 on field goals this game.
Mm-hmm.
Clutch as ever. No one had a doubt in their mind that he wouldn't make that game winner. I mean, Jerome Ford had 100 yards quietly. 17 carries for 100 yards. Quietly has it.
Mm-hmm.
Elijah Moore, first touchdown of his Browns career. Incredible. The Jerome Ford run at the end of the game when the whole team came to push. Elijah Moore got in there. Joel Bitonio said, shoot, I'm the only lineman who's not in. I got to come in.
That was beautiful.
Took him an extra 10 yards. I mean, it was loaded. And then you have all these fun, smaller storylines like a guy that got elevated from the practice squad less than a week ago makes his start at left tackle. A guy by the name of Jaron Christian comes in and plays basically flawless football at left tackle. I want to give Jed Wills his flowers because he's played well and he's gotten better over the course of the year.
Mm-hmm.
In this one game, Jaron Christian had a higher PFF grade than Jed has had literally all season. I think he had some pressures, no sacks. I think he had one penalty. I mean, talk about plug and play. Where did we find this guy?
Callahan, baby.
Callahan is a great freaking coach.
Cool Callahan.
But, I mean, of course our stars had big games. Myles Garrett, big sack. Deshaun had one of the worst starts to a game that he possibly could have had. And then he had a second half that made me believe. It truly made me believe, maybe he is worth 230. Maybe he is fully guaranteed,
Especially that run.
That 16-yard run in that final drive.
His ankle hobbled up. He was running the fastest he could.
He broke a tackle.
Almost two tackles. Big body. It must suck to tackle the guy that we paid $30 million. Yeah, that's the first game where you're like, hey, Joe Burrow sucked. He couldn't beat the Texans.
And Kareem Hunt, I think, has scored a touchdown in every single game he's played in this year. I saw a crazy stat that was Kareem Hunt and Dustin Hopkins have combined for well over, it's like almost 60%. It's like 57% of the Browns' points this year. And those are two guys who were not on our roster at the end of the preseason. These two guys, that's Andrew Berry, man, saying, I know who I can pluck and play and add to this system. The coaching staff has worked masterfully with the pieces we've had. I mean, this was a huge game. And I don't want to take any credit away from the Ravens. They're a damn good team. They were pressuring Deshaun a lot.
Lamar is a dog.
Lamar is really good, but our defense is the number one defense in the league for a reason. And they are a distant second in the league for a reason. I mean, Lamar could not do anything in the second half. We had him figured out. I mean, I really do think that the presence of JOK and some of the other smart blitzes, because Jim Schwartz knows how to give the offense different looks. He knows how to always keep them guessing. JOK and the different looks we were sending at Lamar, he started seeing ghosts, man. And Okoronkwo tips the ball to Newsome. I mean, I can't say enough good things about this team. Everybody ate. Everybody got involved. It was a team win. It was gritty. It was in Baltimore. And nobody had us in this game, especially after the way we started. Oh, man. Bend but don't break. That is the mentality. The strongest things in the world have a bit of give, but they don't snap. And this Browns team said, I'm not sure if we're going to win this game, but I'm going to win this effing play. I'm going to win this next play, and I'm going to win the next play. And we just looked like we wanted it more. It's an old cliche. We were more physical than them. we cared more at the end of the day. I mean, Baltimore was really hoping that we would wave a white flag at halftime, and we just didn't.
No, 14-0. Everyone wrote us off. If you're a true Browns fan, you wrote us off, started, and, kept watching, and we're like typical Browns behavior. But this season feels like a different shift. Feels like we're making the kicks that we're supposed to make. We're doing the things that we're supposed to do. Every second half, you look at this game, and if you look at it in halves, looks like trajectory's moving up for Deshaun Watson. So, Tom, did you see enough from Deshaun? Did you see enough from this? They have all these NFL offenses. Did you see enough from the Kevin Stefanski offense, Deshaun Watson at the head? And do you think they have a good relationship or rapport together? Or do you think it's sometimes Stefanski's winning in spite of some of Deshaun's woes?
I think that might have been the case before, but it was not the case on Sunday. And I want to start off in particular with that first interception that Deshaun threw, which was quite similar to the one he threw against Pittsburgh, almost identical with the way this game started compared to that game. But you mentioned earlier that it seemed like Stefanski was, kind of catering to maybe an easier set of play calls. And I think that was true for the first half. And I don't know about the second half. I think the first half, he was trying to cater to him like it was PJ Walker. And, obviously Deshaun didn't mean to throw a pick six, but I think it was kind of like hey, let me loose. I am a 5-star QB. Let me go play ball. You don't need to have me dink and dunk. I mean, it's good to get a quarterback warmed up that way, but I don't know. It almost felt like rebellious. And the second half, I think he just cut him loose and let him play the way he likes to play. I don't know. What do you think about their relationship?
He didn't really complete a long pass in the second. Like the greatest play, we throw that long third down, right? And it's still like we're still like 2 yards away when Amari Cooper catches that long one towards the end. But then the greatest play towards the end is Deshaun breaking a tackle and doing what you pay $230 for. So I don't know if we let him throw it loose like that.
Yeah.
I think Kevin Stefanski is gonna get all of the praise, but in my mind, I think Deshaun is winning in spite of Kevin Stefanski, similar to kind of what you say, like these dink and dunks and get a quarterback ready. To be honest with you, I think it's like when James Harden goes to a strip club and it's like incredible. Sometimes he might not know what to do with all that. And I think Kevin Stefanski doesn't know what to do with a guy like Deshaun Watson, and he's too smart for his own good, but we're going to give him all the praise. But watch what Deshaun's doing here. He is doing something. He is winning in spite of Kevin Stefanski, and that's what some people are saying.
I mean, he threw a pick six on, like the first play of the game. And then I think Kevin, was considering that for the rest of the game and had him. Yeah, I think we're kind of saying the same thing, just in a different way.
Absolutely.
He had him on a short leash, so to speak, but it was to prevent more turnovers because the Ravens, they generate turnovers. The Ravens and the Steelers, if we know anything about those two teams, they know how to make the other team turn the ball over. And so these throws were a lot of comeback routes and things like that. But that leads us into this preview for this upcoming week. Browns-Steelers rematch. Week 11. Let's preview it. There's a lot going on here, Last time we played them, we lost Nick Chubb. They intentionally hurt him.
Minka.
And, we're missing some players. They're missing some players. It's in Cleveland. I can't believe this game didn't get bumped to primetime. Huge mistake on the part of the NFL. Do you think everybody wants to watch Minnesota versus Denver Sunday night? Give me a break. I know Josh Dobbs is a great story, only because he's a former Brown. But, I mean, this game has huge implications for the division, for the playoffs, for the landscape of the AFC. It's very important. Zach, do you think we're going to absolutely blow them out, or do you think this is going to be another close dogfight?
This is the game. We build on top of this. Steelers last in offensive efficiency. They suck so bad on offense. Their defense is doing it. There has to be a plateau in this. And you see our defense going up. We're getting blocked field goals in a few game span. We haven't had that many turnovers in the first half, but look at where our defense is going and then look at where their offense is going. I don't give a flying truck that Matt Canada last game is not up at the top looking at them. He's down on the sideline calling the plays, and he can see the game differently. And he's actually Matt America now and not Matt Canada. This guy went from a burner Twitter account to now he's like trying to save his season on the sideline, trying to call these plays. Tom, how many times do you think Myles Garrett gets his paws on Kenny Pickett?
Oh, I think at least twice, but that would be if they were too solo. Maybe he'll actually get his hands on him like 4 times, but there'll be 4 half sacks, where he shares one with Z and he shares one with Obo and he shares one with JOK. Miles is going to eat him alive. I think Deshaun is not going to be in Pittsburgh. He's going to be in Cleveland, and that will allow him to really soak in the fans' energy, the Cleveland energy. I think we're going to take it to them. And I mean, the Steelers, they have had the other team that they've played outgain them in yards every single week. They're 6-3. So that means they not only know how to turn the ball over, like cause the other team to turn the ball over, but they know how to score off those turnovers. So as long as we go in there knowing that and are aware of that and manage those turnovers, and we generate some of our own, which I don't doubt we will. We will cause some Kenny Pickett turnovers. There's no doubt about that. They also said, Jalen Warren's the RB1 and Najee Harris is now his backup. Hey, guess what? I don't care. And I don't care at all because Jalen Warren is an RB2. He's good, but he's not an RB1. He's a little guy. If you're going to tell me that your plan for this week is we're gonna win this game with Jalen Warren, you're in trouble. Yeah,
Jim
I
Schwartz
don't know.
is ready. Jim Schwartz, guys. One thing that I learned, Tom, is like there's the running backs, the wide receivers of the teams that we're gonna play. You're gonna see running backs like break one for like 20, 30 yards, but what separates Jim Schwartz is his adjustments. Like Jalen Warren, let's not freak out in the first quarter. And I might be talking to myself. If he goes for a 33-yarder, but we always make that adjustment. We always are like, oh, you guys stand on business and defense? We are defense. And they're praising each other. Myles Garrett in the post-game press conference praising Deshaun Watson, telling the media, walking out, just telling them like, guys, shut the hell up. We've been telling you wait for Deshaun to just get healthy. And then you can see that like maybe he just needed a couple games together after not playing for a while. And maybe he can be decent and not decent towards the end of the season. If Kyler Murray looks like this after missing 12, 18 weeks, Deshaun missed not the same amount of time, but roughly the same amount of time playing the same position. I think he beats the Steelers. We're in a totally, totally different world right now. Splitting with them, splitting with the Ravens. We're going to sweep the Bengals. It's going to be crazy, Tom. Especially when you think about the AFC North race getting so hot. Tom, if the Bengals win, they beat the Ravens, and we beat the Steelers, we're number 1 in the division. What do you think about that, dude?
I mean, it's crazy. We said this was possible last week, but and we overcame what everybody thought we couldn't, and we beat the Ravens in Baltimore. So, I mean, I think this is incredibly plausible that the Bengals, who just got upset by the Texans in an incredible game, are going to come back with a vengeance and they're going to beat the Ravens. I think it will happen. And the Steelers are going to come into Cleveland and we are going to have blood in the water. We are going to want to rip their hearts out. And if both of those things happen, we'll be at the top of the division, of the best division in football. Gosh, I'm really hoping that all four of these teams can make the playoffs. I mean, that would be something else. But I've been looking ahead at all of these teams' schedules
Mm-hmm.
because you gotta see what it looks like, what you can project for the rest of the division. We've had the most division games already, and the Ravens and Steelers in particular both have a very tough schedule moving forward. And we just get to sit back and watch them play each other. The Steelers, or it's either the Steelers or the Ravens, haven't played the Bengals yet, and they have to play them twice.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just they're going to split, or they're going to, like, it's going to get ugly, man. And I
We're the
don't
only
know.
ones that can sit back.
We get to sit back, and we might be playing the Bengals for the last game of the season for the division title, which would be unbelievable. But I mean, looking ahead, if we can win this game, we should win the rest of our games. Other than, we have Jacksonville coming up, but Jacksonville just got absolutely trounced by the Niners, who we embarrassed. We embarrassed the Niners. I mean, we can beat the Jaguars. We could be going into we shouldn't look this far ahead, but we could be going into this week 17 matchup against the Bengals for the division. And that, gosh, man, I'm freaking excited. I love this team. You gotta go 1 week at a time. But just after this week, we get to sit back and watch this division cannibalize itself. And it'll be a good couple of weeks for us because, we have Denver and we have the Rams, who obviously have some good pieces. They're in the NFL. Everybody in the NFL has some great players, but we should win those games.
Dude, when the schedule first came out, we were all nervous. All these division games, a week 5 bye, first 5 weeks, you're playing every single person. I initially took it kind of like, wow, they're setting us up to fail. But if you win in spite of that, then you get to the time of the season where you're 6-3 and you're looking hot. You're 6-3. You beat the Niners without your starting quarterback, and we're 6-3, and we're like, we have not seen the best version of this team.
We have not, and we're 4 of 5 of the last 5 games. We've won 4 times, and we're about to win a 5th. I'm telling you, we're about to whoop on the Steelers. It's just going to happen, people. So transitioning over now to Cavs talk, basketball talk. We're 10 games in. 10 games is a pretty significant marker. Donovan Mitchell himself said you can start to assess a team after 10 games. So we're 10 games in, and we are 4-6. Now, obviously, we've had some health concerns. Some people have had some ticky-tack injuries, and the chemistry with the new players is still kind of working itself out. Zach, how are you feeling? Are you concerned? Do you feel like we can figure it out, get back on the right track, or do you think some big changes need to be made?
Tom, huge changes. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Sometimes I do on this pod, very rare, but when you look at this, like, the offense is not moving how it's supposed to be. It's not flowing. You're seeing Darius Garland and Evan Mobley have even less alley-oops together. We can only say about the injury excuse for a certain time. After 10 games, that's almost an eighth of the season. We should be seeing something that we're very hopeful for. We are 16th in defensive efficiency, which was the only thing holding us to the top last year to win, 50, pretty much 50 games. And we're not doing that. So what are we standing on? Are we hoping Mitchell just gets 60, 70 points a game? Tom, I think when you see some of these close games at the end and we lose them and we slip from their grasp and we play Sacramento and we let them shoot almost 60% from the field, the defense is lacking, we're not making adjustments. Tom, I think you can only blame one person. Am I crazy to say JB's got to go? And the only reason I say that is because we have Donovan Mitchell. Why don't we try to please him? Why don't we get somebody he likes or we know he's going to like and just mesh those two together? Because after a year and some change, dude, this offense is JB is not doing what he needs to do.
I think JB could be on the hot seat, but I don't think he needs to go yet. I think that's a bit of an overreaction. I appreciate the passion, my friend, but I'm going to tell you that I think we just need to give it a little bit more time. Our next two games are Portland and Detroit. We're going to win both of those games. We'll be back to 6-6. Everyone will take a chill pill and we'll figure it out how to play together. In terms of JB, I think there's a degree of the LeBron effect for him as a coach right now where he kind of has to figure it out around Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell is incredible, and JB is trying to figure out how to make him work with everybody else because he's scoring incredibly well, but I feel like his games where he has a more balanced stat sheet, we're winning, and his games where he absolutely goes off, we're not. We're winning some of them, but
he has no scheme. He has no sauce to him. He has none of that.
JB?
Yeah, there's no integrity or there's no identity of a JB coach team, and we've seen enough. And if we want to keep Mitchell, we have to please him, and let's go and get a coach who has something to prove. Like, I'd rather have Joe Mazzulla than JB.
Maybe. I no comment on that. I don't really have a strong opinion on that, but I'll say something that I've seen is, our shots haven't been falling, and you can only do so much. Also, like with Sacramento, like I don't know if that's really even our defense's fault. They caught absolute fire. They were shooting 60% from three, and yes, like we let that happen, but also they were making the shots. Like the shots don't have to go in. That's always true.
We have to make them, though. We also have to make them.
We have to make them. So I think, Niang has not found his place yet. I think Strus has played well, but I think his role is a little bit confused as kind of a slasher and playmaker right now. I don't know if we want him doing as much. It's nice to see that he has great conditioning, but like he's a 3-point shooter.
We're relying
and that's why
on
we got
him to be like Karis LeVert, and hopefully you can go for 30 and create. It's like, he's best.
I know.
Just shooting that three and cutting one. He's so frustrating.
I hear you. Well, so I think first off, you mentioned Karis LeVert. He's the 6th man of the year candidate. He's been playing out of his mind. He has been a light in the darkness right now. I think in terms of like getting everybody involved, yes, we want to see more Darius Garland to Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. We have seen a lot of, and I think this does make our offense dynamic, plays where Mitchell or whoever has the ball starts to cut, and then they pass it to Mobley and or Allen, and then that person vice versa passes it to the other big. Like that's that one extra pass that makes our offense very dynamic. The flip side of that is both Jared Allen and Evan Mobley, they have moments where they look like baby deer, where they're just like learning how to run with their long legs, and they rush it, and sometimes they turn the ball over. If those two guys can play more cool, calm, collected, where they catch the ball around the foul line and conduct traffic, this offense can really open up. Because you said it last pod, Darius Garland was shooting 8%. He's up to 29% in just 3 games. He's going to level out. He's a great shooter. Things are going to level out. Things are going to happen. And like I said, we're going to win these next 2 games. We're going to see some things happen. And I don't know how many plays you can call with Donovan Mitchell when he's not a play call kind of guy.
That's not an excuse.
But he's not.
Think about all the guys that we have on the team.
I think everybody else is like a chemistry and like role player kind of guy. I just don't. Donovan Mitchell, like when you think about his Utah Jazz teams that were super successful, it's quite similar to this Cavs team where they had the big or a couple of bigs, and then they just had a bunch of role players, a bunch of 3-point shooters, and then they let Donovan Mitchell kind of just do whatever he wanted to do. He wasn't the person like that was a part of play calls. He wasn't a part of like designed plays. He was the freak athlete who could do things that no one else could do.
And look how far they got.
I know. I'm just saying that's where JB's in this weird place where I think he's trying to mold him into a team player. And it's slowly happening, but progress isn't linear. It's not always straight. straight up.
It's not good for our. We said going into the season, we thought Mobley would take that next step. That when you look at it, it's crazy, right? And we can both probably agree. Stop me if I'm wrong. That Mobley hasn't looked like Hall of Famer we were projecting. Like he's still great. He's still a great defensive presence, but he's not the kind of guy that we thought could lead this team. And the more that I think about it, the more that you see a small Garland regression first 10 games. When we have a guy like Donovan Mitchell, it makes it really, really tough for Mobley's development. Do you think there's any way in this that it stunted Mobley's progression and what he can be because of these touches Mitchell has to have?
Yes, but I also think that Mobley is so young. He's like 21 or 22. Like we have a ton of time with him. And a 21 or 22-year-old can develop skill and they can get better in workouts. I mean, workouts can only do so much. Game time is game time, and there's truly nothing like it. And on the Evan Mobley page, I just want to say, yes, I don't think we've seen him take that leap that we were kind of hoping to see. But again, it's not like, I don't think it's an overnight thing. And I think we've seen these flashes where, heading into the fourth quarter, he only has 8 to 10 points and handful of rebounds, handful of blocks or whatever. But then they have started to use him as a focal point. And he had one game, I think it was against the Warriors, one of the two games against the Warriors, where he had 10 points and then finished with 21 or something like that, because he is so active around the paint. He's so active around the hoop and almost impossible to block if he's close enough to the hoop. He had more dunks than anyone in the league last year. I think we just got to give it time. It's very easy to jump to these conclusions, but it's early. It's early, and they're only 4-6. And I know, I agree. I don't think that health can be an excuse moving forward. But I think for the first 10 games when Jared Allen missed more than half and Garland played less than half, I think the chemistry needs to work itself out still. I think I'm just saying pump the brakes. I hear you. I am concerned as well. But I think that this team is still going to be a special team. There's a bit of arrogance with them that I think is also hard for us to deal with right now, where they're kind of acting like, yeah, we were the 4th seed last year. It's like, yeah, you got upset. You got kind of embarrassed by a bad Knicks team. Like,
stop talking about last year.
Yeah, stop talking about last year. Donovan Mitchell had 171-point game. Who cares? I know you drew it on a piece of paper and took a photo. That's really cute. Go get a Polaroid of that, frame it. But we need to play better. And I genuinely think we can. Like, I do think this personnel can get it together and still be a top 3 team in the East.
Can hope so. I'm hot taking this.
Yeah.
JB gets fired before Kevin Stefanski. And
Ooh.
by God, 25 games in, if this
that'll
is
be
still,
in 5 years, because they're both going to win some rings in the next couple of years.
Kevin Stefanski, that would have been a hotter take last week. But JB, by 25 games, if nothing improves, we're firing him. We have to fire him.
So I think we need to look to these 2 games against the Warriors for a couple of reasons. One, let's just talk about this Draymond Green incident. He, in transition, I don't even know who had the ball. It was a different Warriors player, was going down the court, and Mitchell was chasing him down. And Draymond Green, for no reason, just shoved him in the back because he's a punk-ass bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And the refs missed it somehow. And so Donovan Mitchell ran down the court, got in his face, said, hey, that was some weak bullshit, and I'm not going to stand for it. And Draymond Green and him got into it. And then the refs reviewed the whole play because they were like, why are these guys fighting? We need to understand what happened. And upon further review, they gave him a tech. Draymond Green got ejected. And he does what he does when he gets ejected. He's clapping. He's pumping his arms to the fans. He's like, yeah, yeah. He's showing his donkey teeth. And like, dude, he is so soft. He is such a punk. Like, he's never, ever actually fought anybody who was his size or bigger. He's only gone after their junk. If it's a smaller guy, he's willing to fight them. But Donovan Mitchell's clearly not scared of him, and Draymond Green didn't want none of that. And while they were reviewing the play, Darius Garland, who I don't think suited up for this game. He might have. He was talking to Draymond Green with some players in between them separated. But even Darius was like, "You're a punk. You're a punk. You're a little bitch." But I think all of that to say, this Warriors team brings out the best in us. I think we give them our best, and we want to beat them so badly that when we play them, you see the best version of ourselves. So, Donovan Mitchell has a more balanced game. I think both games against them, he only had around 20 points, but he had a lot more assists. He had a lot more rebounds. He had a bunch of steals. And the rest of the team was very involved. You look at the stat sheet, it's very balanced for who scored. Do you think this is what we need to focus on, on these 2 wins and like how we performed against them? Because I do.
To be honest, heck no. I don't care what happens against the Warriors. The Warriors are a bad team. Like, at the end of the day, they're underperforming this year. I don't really.
You don't think they're a finals contender?
No, they're far from it this year at this point in the season. And
so are we, but I think
sure,
I think both of these teams are going to bounce back, and they give each other hell.
I'm always here for Cavs Warriors, but like, we're 2-0 against them, and we're losing against teams we shouldn't. You don't want to see that, but like, obviously you can't get enough of the Cavs whooping the Warriors. It's in everyone's blood at this point. So yeah,
but I think this is our blueprint. Tough defense.
We're 16th. We're in the middle,
but tough defense against them. We've dominated them defensively.
Well, that's TT. TT's there, like, showing all the tape, and he's like, guys, he's waking them up at 4 a.m, telling them, like, guys, this is what me and LeBron had to go through, guys. And then Darius Garland's like, yeah, Rich Paul's my manager. It's like, I love LeBron.
Yeah, I think it's there. I think we've seen our best team ball against them, and we've seen the Cavs at their best against them.
I'm negative against them.
It's fair.
I'm sorry.
I think you're more fact based than I am. I'm hopeful Joe over here, and you're cynical Pinnacle Stanleys or whatever. I don't know. So that's the end of this portion of the podcast. We're gonna jump into hot takes after this, but we appreciate you listening. We look forward to watching next Cavs games, next Browns game, and we're going to keep our eyes peeled for all the other good stuff that's moving forward. So thank you again for listening. Comment, subscribe, talk shiz, and tell us how good looking you think we are. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. TWP.
Draymond Green getting caught up in another suspect call. Is he the fakest tough player in the NBA?
Yeah, I mean, he shoved Donovan Mitchell in the back for no reason. It had nothing to do with a basketball play. But you notice, if he goes up against a big or somebody who's even just the same size as him, he's not looking to fight. He's looking to either grab their junk or kick their junk. But if he goes up against a guard, he's actually willing to fight. And the only person he's ever actually fought is his own teammate. He's the fakest tough guy ever. Gilbert Arenas has this great quote recently where he was like, the league got rid of enforcers and let the bullies stay. I don't even want to call Draymond a bully because he's too much of a punk. Like, nobody's scared of Draymond. He's not a bully. He's just he's just a jerk. Like, he's a loser.
He's that guy in school that, like, won't ever swing, but says the most outlandish shit, and you're just like, dude, can you go over there? And he just somehow made it to the NBA. I mean, this guy was rumored in Ohio malls trying to scam a T-Mobile from personal sources that I know. I mean, it's just the kind of scum of the earth that we've come to know. Draymond Green, Charles Oakley would have killed you by staring at you if you're talking about back in the day.
Yes. No, those are real tough guys. Draymond Green's the kind of guy who's like, when he's a sophomore in high school, is dating an 8th grader and he's hanging around the middle school. And you're like, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I can drive. So, Zach, here at TWP, we like to point out bad calls. And here we have another bad call. This game, Miami versus Florida State. You see where that guy's getting tackled? Kind of looks like the end zone. What do you think they called on this play?
Probably like a safety, right?
Nope, they called this a sack on the 1 yard line.
That's crazy.
It's wild, right? And Miami ended up losing by 7 points. And Florida State's undefeated. They're number 4 in the AP poll ranking. This saved their season. This horrible call. Now, I mean, maybe Miami wouldn't have ended up winning the game even if they got the safety that they did earn. But when sports betting is showcased every commercial, how can we have plays like this still happening?
Exactly. It makes me think that we need a central location. There needs to be all the games that are important. Any game that somebody's allowed to bet on, we need to hire refs that are not part-time, that are full-time, that are stationed somewhere where they can get the signal quick and make decisions and tell the referee, just like they do it in soccer during the World Cup. So many teams play at the same time. It can happen. They just tell them this is what to call, keep the game moving. It's faster pace. And also, we are putting billions and billions of dollars in the betting industry. Let's let those people actually have a fair shot, because it might just be BYU versus Wyoming or some game nobody cares about, but there's hundreds and thousands of dollars on the line. So let's make sure we get it freaking right.
I mean, they get the offsides right in soccer, and they use computers programs to get that perfectly dead
Mm-hmm.
on. You can clearly measure a field in that way. It's such a joke that we don't have it like there's no way of knowing if it's a first down or if it's a safety or if it's a touchdown. It's like there's this technology absolutely exists.
So Zach Levine's apparently on the trading block. Tom, what teams do you think should go for him?
Anybody who's tanking, anybody who's trying to up ticket sales but is not interested in winning. I mean, he's a sideshow attraction. He's a 2-time All-Star, but in a thin Eastern Conference, he's not good. Like there's that epic highlight of him being like, I got 50 points when he's yelling at his coach. He's like, I got 50 points. It's like, yeah, you have 50 points and your team's down 30. Like, you're still the problem, man. He's very athletic. He's quite skilled, but he's never been a part of an organization that's been able to do anything. And I think that's a big part of why nobody who is good should go after him.
The only reason we know about him is because of the dunk contest. That's the only reason we know his name. Am I wrong?
I mean, I think him versus Aaron Gordon is the best dunk contest of all time. But who's the white boy from last year? Mac McClung? What's the difference between him and Mac McClung? That's what I should have done here. Is I should have put him next to Mac McClung and said, spot the difference, because there isn't one.
Well, the only thing is, like, Zach Levine's name rolls off the tongue a little better than Mac McClung, you know? This is Zach Levine, other than sharing a name with me, which I hate, it's disgusting. He sucks. We're not kidding anybody. He sucks. He's always pouting, and he is gonna be the guy getting buckets on a bad team, kind of like Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah. I mean, everybody thought that DeMar DeRozan's career was over, and then he goes to Chicago, and he makes Chicago look like a decent team. And Levine's just pouty the whole time. Look at this photo. Why are we winning? And you're the best. We should be. Well, I don't care if we win, but I should be the best.
Mm-hmm. No, sure. A Chicago, big city.
I love deep dish. Deep dish is fine. It's fine.
He's the type to drink Malort for fun and say this is a Chicago thing.
He's the type to say it's actually Cloudgate. It's not actually the bean. It just looks like a bean.
I looked it up, and we need to clean those fingerprints on it, because when fam comes to visit, it ain't for the gram.
It's not Sears Tower. It's Willis Tower. Duh. So, Zach, Ohio State just beat Michigan State this weekend wearing the iciest jerseys ever. I mean, look at this all gray fit. They look good. And it helps that Marvin Harrison Jr. had 3 touchdowns. In your mind, all sports, what is the iciest jersey that you can think of? What comes straight to your mind?
Gotta pay respect to the white Houston Rockets 2008 with the McGrady on the back with the red accent. Simple but elegant. You mix in the T-Mac shoes that you can pump to squeeze on your foot. I don't know, but that one's kind of fire. What do you think?
I love the purple 90s Utah Jazz with the mountains on them. That's always been. I mean, it's always doing too much, but that's what I like about them. That they're doing too much. Hey,
Love
drop
this.
in the comments. What are your favorite jerseys of all time? What are the iciest? And you could go to any sport. I mean, I feel like Tampa Bay's creamsicle deserves a shout out. But there's also, some jerseys you love to hate, like the Pittsburgh Steelers Bumblebee. Just look like
The
ass.
Seattle all green. I don't
Ooh.
like them. A lot of people do. Do you guys like them? I don't know.
So, Zach, Alex Pereira beats Prohaska for the light heavyweight championship. Now the champ in that division, he calls out in his post-fight interview Adesanya. He says, "Come to daddy." Do you think Adesanya is going to come to daddy?
I don't even know if I have to think because Adesanya's responded. He said, "I knocked you out, buddy, already once. The story's over." So Adesanya, he's not interested. He's taking that. I need that as much time as I need to take from the game. I've already gave it all I got. He's got that vibe where he's, probably gonna fight one more money fight and retire. And he's lived a beautiful middleweight career. He doesn't need to go make all the way to fight Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira, Adesanya, they're not intersecting. Also, early freaking stoppage. Did you guys agree that it was an early stoppage? Because it was very early from what a lot of people were saying. I just haven't seen enough either from Pereira. Every time that he fights, he's held 2 titles. He's one of the only people in history that's held 2 titles, but I haven't seen enough. He hasn't showed me really anything. Plus, you mix the early stoppage. I love Poetan, but I don't know. He's not changing the game like Adesanya did.
All I got to say is the only reason he got elevated to that point is because he beat Adesanya in kickboxing in a different sport. So he beat him in that. And then when he fights him in the UFC for the first time, he beats him again. So all time, he's 2-1 against Adesanya. I think if Adesanya had the heart of a champion, he would want that rematch.
But he's not at that point in his career. He's at the I'm gonna take a break. He's when you see Usman get knocked out, and he's kind of like talking about the game in a holistic. This is I fight now, but I just think about my whole career. He's at that stage in his career, and you
Hey,
don't want to fight
go,
another guy like this.
Hey, go rewatch Naruto or whatever you got to do, and then get back in the ring and
I want
fight
to
this
see it.
guy.
Yeah, I want to see it.
Get back in the ring and fight this guy.
Thank you for making it to this stage of the pod, our fellow witnesses, guys. We work very hard to get this content for you. Please like, subscribe, smash that bell. I know it's cliche, but it really, really helps us do what we do best. I mean, we're experts. We research. We have sources, inside sources. So very, very thankful for everyone listening. If you're on your way to work, if you're making the dishes, doing whatever, you're about to break up with your girl, I hope you can at least, listen to this, enjoy it. That's enough from us, guys. This has been the Witnesses Podcast 11. Much love.